Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are jumping into a story that is an absolute classic and pretty much a guarantee for your exams. G.L. Fuentes' A Letter to God. We're not just going to retell the story, though. We are building the ultimate revision guide right here, right now, to help you absolutely master this chapter for your Class 10 boards. This question? This is what the entire story is about. It's this incredible tale of a farmer, a man named Lencho, whose simple, powerful faith gets put to the ultimate test in a way he never could have seen coming. So, to make sure you're totally ready for your exams, here's how we're going to break it down. We'll kick things off with a super fast summary, then we'll compare the main characters, dig into the big themes of faith and irony, give you some key vocabulary, and finally, we'll talk strategy for how to write those perfect exam answers. Ready? Let's get into it. All right, first things first, let's do a quick run-through of the plot, just to make sure all the key events are fresh in our minds. You can really see the roller coaster of emotions here. The story starts with Lencho, full of hope, watching the sky for rain for his cornfield. But then, disaster strikes. A hailstorm completely wipes out his crops. Utter devastation. So what does he do? He takes this incredible leap of faith and writes a letter to God, asking for 100 pesos. And amazingly, he gets a reply with money inside. But this moment of renewed hope leads right into the story's final knockout punch of irony when he accuses the very people who helped him of being thieves. And this right here, this is the moment everything changes. I mean, just look at that. His entire livelihood, the food for his family, it's all gone in an instant. With absolutely no other options left, he turns to the one and only source of help he has complete and total faith in, God. Okay, so now let's talk about the two main players here, Lencho and the postmaster. Seriously, understanding the contrast between these two is the key to unlocking the story's message about faith and what it means to be human. So on one hand, you have Lencho. The story calls him an ox of a man, and it's perfect, right? He's this simple, unbelievably hardworking farmer whose faith in God is just absolute. Then, on the other hand, you have the postmaster. He's this friendly, kind-hearted guy who's a bit more worldly. He understands how the world works, but he's still completely floored by the purity of Lencho's faith. This line, this is everything. This is the exact moment we understand why the postmaster does what he does. He's not just amused, he is deeply moved. He's so in awe of Lencho's trust that he feels he absolutely cannot let that faith be shattered. And that's what sparks his amazing act of kindness. Now, let's get to the really juicy stuff, the big ideas. If you're aiming for those top marks, you have to talk about the main themes. And for this story, it really boils down to two huge ones, faith and irony. First up, faith. Lencho's faith is basically the engine that drives this whole story. It's so pure, so literal, that writing a letter to God doesn't seem strange to him at all. It's almost like a business transaction. He's not even surprised when he gets a response with cash. His faith is his greatest strength, but as we find out, it's also his biggest blind spot. But see, that's the clever part. The story isn't just about faith in God. It's also about faith in people, in humanity. What the postmaster does, getting his employees to chip in, giving part of his own salary, all for a man he's never even met, that's the quiet, everyday goodness that exists in the world. It is a true act of charity. Okay, let's talk about a word that is going to get you major points, irony. So what is it? Put simply, irony is when what happens is the total opposite of what you'd expect. And it's usually kind of funny, or in this case, actually kind of tragic. And here it is, the central irony of the whole story. The very people who went out of their way to perform an incredible act of anonymous kindness, the post office employees, are the ones Lencho accuses of stealing from him. He has unwavering faith in God, but he completely misses the goodness of the humans right in front of him. Next up, your exam vocabulary toolkit. Seriously, dropping a few of these words from the text into your answers shows the examiner you really know your stuff. It's an easy way to make your answers stand out. First, crest. It just means the very top of a hill. The story says Lencho's house sat on the crest, which is important because it gave him that perfect view of his fields and the coming storm. It also highlights how isolated he was. Next, amiable. This is the perfect word for the postmaster. It just means he was a friendly, good-natured, pleasant guy. It tells you everything you need to know about his character right away. In conscience. This is about your inner voice, your sense of right and wrong. Lencho believed that God could see everything, even the deepest thoughts in a person's conscience. This belief is the rock-solid foundation of his absolute trust. Now, this is cool. The story is packed with metaphors, and if you can point these out, you're going to look like a pro. When Lencho calls the raindrops new coins, he's not being literal. He's comparing them to money because they're that valuable for his crops. And calling him an ox of a man is the perfect way to describe how incredibly hard he works. Mentioning these will definitely score you points. Okay, this is the home stretch. We've got the plot, the characters, the themes. Now how do we put it all together to absolutely ace those exam questions? You're likely going to face 3 different kinds of questions. For the short, simple ones, just stick to the facts, what happened, who did what. For the longer answer questions, that's your time to shine. That's when you bring in the big ideas we talked about: faith, humanity, and especially irony. And then you might get a value-based question, which asks you to think about the story's lesson. So let's walk through a super common question you're almost guaranteed to see in some form or another. What is the irony in this situation? Here is a perfect 4-step recipe for answering that question. Follow this and you're golden. First, give a quick definition of irony. Second, state the facts. Lencho accuses the post office employees of theft. Third, explain the twist. They were the ones who actually sent the money. And fourth, hit them with a powerful conclusion. Lencho's absolute faith in God ironically made him blind to the goodness of other people. An answer structured like that is clear, smart, and easy to give full marks to. And, the whole tragic mix-up really just comes down to simple math. He asked for 100 pesos. The postmaster and his friends tried their best, but could only scrape together 70. In Lencho's simple, black and white world, there's only one possible explanation for the missing 30 pesos. Somebody at the post office must have stolen it. And that leaves us with one last big question to think about, the kind of thing you might explore in a value-based question. The postmaster does this amazing, selfless thing and gets called a crook for it. So does that mean we should stop doing good if we don't get a thank you? It's a tough question, and it shows just how deep and thought-provoking this seemingly simple story really is. That's all for now. Good luck with your exams.